The colony of New Dawn was a quiet place, far away from the great centers of human life. It was a small world with green valleys, wide rivers, and endless skies. Families lived in simple homes, raising crops and tending machines that kept the settlement alive. People here were not soldiers or explorers. They were workers, builders, and dreamers who wanted peace. Among them lived a young man named Ryan. He was not famous or special in any way. He worked in the colony's gardens, repairing soil machines and helping elders with their daily needs. Ryan often sat by the river in the evenings, watching the sky change colors as the twin suns set. He liked silence, and silence was what New Dawn always gave him. But on one quiet morning, that silence was broken. It began as a low sound, like distant thunder rolling across the hills. Children playing in the fields stopped and looked upward. Farmers raised their heads from their work. Even the machines in the garden seemed to pause, as if the world itself had noticed the change. The sky, normally calm and bright, rippled with strange light. Then it came. A shape, vast and dark, slid across the upper atmosphere. It was larger than any human ship, larger even than the colony's entire capital. People gasped and pointed. Some ran indoors, while others froze in place, unable to believe their eyes. An alien vessel had arrived. The craft did not roar or fire weapons. Instead, it moved with quiet grace, as though the air itself parted for it. Its surface shimmered in shades of teal and silver, reflecting the suns in dazzling patterns. The colony's scanners tried to read its structure but failed. No human machine could describe what it was made of. The governor of New Dawn called for calm. Over the loudspeakers, his voice told the settlers to remain indoors and trust the defense systems. The colony had shields and alert beacons, but no one believed they would matter against something so massive. Ryan stood among a group of workers in the fields. His heart pounded, but he did not run. He could not take his eyes away from the ship. It was not only frightening but strangely beautiful. He felt as though it carried not destruction, but purpose. Without warning, a beam of light descended from the vessel. It was not hot or blinding, but soft and steady, like sunlight passing through water. The beam moved slowly, searching the colony. It passed over houses, machines, and people, pausing here and there as though it was looking for something. And then it stopped on Ryan. The workers around him cried out in shock. Some pulled him back, others shouted for him to run. But the light did not let him go. It surrounded him gently, lifting the dust at his feet, and wrapping him in a strange calm. "Why me?" he whispered, though no one could hear him. The beam grew brighter, and Ryan felt his body rise from the ground. The world beneath him became smaller. The fields, the houses, the frightened faces of his friends all blurred as he was carried upward. He wanted to struggle, but the light soothed him, as if telling him he was safe. The alien ship opened like a flower above him. Petals of metal shifted aside, revealing a passage of shimmering light. Ryan was drawn into it, leaving the colony far below. Inside, he found silence again. Not the silence of a calm world, but the silence of something vast and unknown. The air was warm, filled with soft colors moving like waves. He floated gently until the light set him down on a smooth floor that seemed alive, pulsing with faint energy. He stood alone, staring at walls that shifted like water, yet felt solid. There were no guards, no weapons, no sign of danger. Only the quiet hum of a ship older and stranger than anything humans had built. Ryan's hands shook as he tried to steady himself. His thoughts raced. Why had the ship chosen him? Why not the governor, or the engineers, or the scientists? He was just a worker, a gardener, a nobody. Yet the ship seemed certain. The path before him opened slowly, inviting him deeper inside. Back on New Dawn, panic filled the colony. Families huddled together, wondering if they had lost one of their own forever. The governor sent messages to Earth, asking for guidance, but no reply could come fast enough. The people of New Dawn could only watch the alien vessel in the sky, waiting to see if it would bring harm or peace. Ryan, however, was already part of the mystery. His steps echoed softly as he followed the glowing path into the heart of the ship. He did not know who or what waited for him. All he knew was that something vast had chosen him, and his life on New Dawn had ended the moment that beam of light found him. Far above the colony, the alien ship closed its petals, sealing him within. The people below could no longer see him, but the story of what had just happened was already spreading. For the first time in New Dawn's history, humans had been touched by a power beyond their world. And at the center of it all was Ryan, carried into the unknown, unaware that his journey was only beginning. Ryan walked carefully through the glowing corridor of the alien ship. The walls shifted with soft waves of color, almost like the surface of a calm ocean. The air was warm and light, and every step he took echoed gently as if the ship itself was listening to him. He felt both fear and wonder at the same time. The path led him into a wide chamber. The ceiling stretched high above, filled with patterns of light that looked like constellations. The floor was smooth and shining, and in the center stood a figure unlike any he had ever seen. She was tall, graceful, and surrounded by a faint shimmer as though the air itself bent around her. Her skin was a rich teal blue, glowing faintly under the lights of the chamber. Her eyes were calm but deep, carrying centuries of memory within them. She was no soldier, no guard. She was something higher, something greater. Ryan froze. He wanted to speak but no words came out. His hands trembled as the figure stepped closer. To his shock, she did not raise a weapon or command others to seize him. Instead, she extended her arms and gently embraced him. Her touch was warm, not cold. She held him as though he was someone precious. In a voice soft and steady, she whispered, "At last, I've found you, my human." Ryan's heart pounded. He did not understand. He had never met her before. He was only a gardener, a worker of soil and rivers. Why would a queen, for that was what she seemed to be, claim she had been searching for him? The queen pulled back just enough to look at him. Her expression carried no threat. Instead, it held relief, as if a long search had finally ended. "You are confused," she said gently. "I will explain." Ryan tried to speak. His voice cracked at first, but then he managed to ask, "Why me? Why take me from my colony?" The queen walked slowly around him, her steps graceful as though she floated instead of walked. "My people have searched the stars for generations," she said. "Long ago, my ancestors met your kind. They told stories of a human who would one day be a bridge between our worlds. We have followed those stories across time and light, waiting for the sign. And now, I have found you." Her words felt impossible to Ryan. A bridge between worlds. A destiny written in alien legends. He shook his head. "I am not special. I fix machines. I tend the gardens. I am just Ryan." The queen paused in front of him. "That is why you are special," she said. "Your people carry something my kind does not. We have great ships, powerful science, long lives. But there is a strength in humanity we cannot build or copy. It is not in weapons or machines. It is in spirit, in the way you face struggle and still rise again." Ryan stared at her, trying to understand. He thought of his colony, of families working side by side, of laughter by the rivers, of children playing even when life was hard. Perhaps there was truth in her words. But still, it felt too heavy for him to accept. He took a step back. "I cannot be what you want. I do not even know what you expect from me." The queen lowered her head slightly, her expression soft. "I do not ask you to be anything you are not. I only ask you to walk with me, to listen, to learn, and to let your humanity shine among my people. That is enough." For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Ryan's breath echoed in his own ears. He felt the weight of the unknown pressing on him, but at the same time, he felt a calm presence around the queen. There was no demand, no force, only invitation. The queen raised her hand and pointed to the far wall. It opened slowly, revealing a wide balcony that looked out over the heart of the ship. Ryan stepped forward and gasped. Below him was a vast city inside the vessel. Towers of light rose from the ground, connected by bridges that shimmered with flowing energy. Thousands of aliens moved below, their forms graceful and varied, each one carrying the same teal-blue skin but with different shapes and sizes. The entire city pulsed with quiet harmony, like a living star carried inside the ship. "This is my world," the queen said softly, standing beside him. "And now, it is also yours. Do not fear, Ryan. You were not taken as a prisoner. You were welcomed as one long awaited." Ryan's thoughts spun wildly. His colony was far below, his people worried and afraid. Yet here he stood, chosen by an alien queen who spoke of legends and unity. He felt torn between two worlds. The queen seemed to notice his unease. She placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "You will understand in time," she said. "For now, rest. You are safe here." The balcony closed, and the chamber shifted back to calm light. Servants of the queen appeared, guiding Ryan to a smaller room with a bed that shaped itself to his body and food that tasted fresh though unlike anything he had eaten before. As he lay in the strange room, staring at the soft glow above him, his thoughts drifted back to the queen's words. "At last, I've found you, my human." The sound of her voice stayed with him, echoing in his mind as sleep slowly carried him away. He did not yet understand the meaning of her words, but he knew one thing for certain. His life had changed forever, and there would be no return to the simple days of New Dawn. Ryan awoke slowly in the alien chamber. The soft bed had shaped itself to his body, and the air carried a faint sweetness that kept him calm. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then the memories of the day before returned: the massive ship, the queen's embrace, her strange words. He sat up quickly, his heart uneasy. The door to his room slid open without sound. A tall figure entered, carrying a tray of food that glowed with gentle colors. The servant bowed slightly before setting it down. Ryan studied the meal. It looked strange, yet it smelled fresh, like fruit carried by the river breeze on New Dawn. "You are to eat," the servant said in a calm voice. "The queen will see you soon." Ryan nodded quietly. He ate slowly, surprised at how light and satisfying the food felt. Every bite seemed to fill him with strength, though he could not recognize what it was made of. When he finished, the servant led him down a long corridor toward a hall much larger than before. The hall was filled with patterns of light stretching across the walls. In the center stood the queen, waiting for him. She greeted him with a kind smile and motioned for him to stand beside her. "Did you sleep well, Ryan?" she asked. "Yes," he replied softly, though he still felt uncertain. "But I do not understand why I am here." The queen turned to the glowing walls. With a gesture, she caused them to shift into images. Stars appeared first, bright and endless. Then came visions of ancient times, ships of her people traveling through darkness, carrying knowledge and stories. Among these images appeared something Ryan could not believe: humans. They were dressed in simple cloth, their faces weathered but strong. They stood beside the aliens, sharing food, exchanging signs of friendship. Ryan stepped closer, his eyes wide. "This cannot be," he whispered. "It is truth," the queen said gently. "Long ago, my ancestors found your kind on Earth. They were curious about humans, so fragile compared to us, yet filled with fire inside. They learned from you, and you learned from them. For a short time, our peoples walked together. But the stars carried us away again, and we lost the path back to your world. Ryan stared at the images. So you already knew us? The Queen nodded. We knew of your beginnings. And before we left, we carried with us a story. It was said that one human, born in the far future, would hold a spirit strong enough to unite what had once been divided. My people called this human the bridge. Ryan's breath caught. You think I am that person? Her eyes met his, calm and steady. I do not think, Ryan. I know. The moment my ship touched your world, the signs were clear. The light found you. It answered the call written long ago. Ryan shook his head, stepping back. But I am no leader. I am not wise or strong. I only tend gardens. My people do not look to me for answers. The Queen moved closer, her presence calm but powerful. That is why you are right. True strength does not come from pride or the hunger for power. It comes from humility, from the willingness to listen and care. You hold that strength. I saw it the moment I touched your spirit. Ryan felt his chest tighten. He thought of New Dawn again, of how he helped elders when their machines broke, of how he comforted children who feared storms, of how he worked quietly while others hurried past. To him, these were small things. But perhaps to others, they meant more. Still, he hesitated. If this is true, why would your people trust me? They will see me as weak. The Queen sighed softly. Many will doubt, yes. Some already whisper that I am wrong to bring you here. They will want proof. But proof does not come in a single moment. It comes in time, through choices and courage. You will have chances to show them who you are. Her words filled him with both fear and hope. Ryan did not want such a destiny, yet part of him wondered if he could carry it. He remembered the light that lifted him from the colony. It had felt like a gentle hand guiding him. Perhaps this was not chance. The Queen touched a glowing crystal at the center of the hall. It projected a map of the galaxy. Stars stretched in all directions, but one region pulsed with red light. Our galaxy is not at peace, she explained. There are rifts in space, wounds that grow and threaten to consume entire worlds. We cannot close them with our science alone. We need something different, something only your kind may hold. That is why I searched for you. Ryan's eyes fixed on the red light. He did not understand how he could help with something so vast. Yet he felt drawn to it, as though the problem was waiting for him. The Queen placed her hand gently on his shoulder. You will not walk alone, Ryan. I will guide you. But your humanity, your way of seeing what we cannot, may be the key. That is the connection between us. For the first time since his capture, Ryan felt his fear ease. The Queen's words did not erase his doubt, but they gave him a path to follow. He looked up at the stars shone above them and whispered, "Then I will try." The Queen's face softened into a smile. "That is all I ask. The bridge is not one who carries the galaxy alone. The bridge is one who shows others how to stand together." Ryan stood in silence, staring at the map of stars. He was no longer only a gardener of New Dawn. Somehow, through a history he had never known, he was tied to a destiny larger than his world. And though he did not yet fully believe it, he knew that his journey with the Queen had only just begun. Ryan followed the Queen through the shining halls of the great ship. Wherever she walked, the walls shifted with waves of light, as if the ship itself obeyed her. The silence was broken only by the soft hum of energy flowing through the vessel. She led him to a grand chamber filled with rows of figures. They were leaders of her people, tall and graceful, each carrying the same teal-blue skin but with different markings across their bodies. Their eyes followed Ryan as he entered, some curious, others doubtful. "This is the council," the Queen said, her voice steady. "They guide my people when I cannot. They must know who you are." Ryan's steps slowed. The chamber felt heavy with expectation. He could sense the doubt in their stares. He wondered if they already judged him as weak. He bowed slightly, unsure of what else to do. One of the counselors rose, his voice calm but sharp. "Great Queen, we honor your wisdom, but why bring a human among us? Their kind is fragile, short-lived, and untested. What power could this one hold?" Murmurs rose among the council. Ryan felt heat rise to his face. He wanted to speak, but the Queen lifted her hand and silence returned. "This human," she said, "is the one our ancestors spoke of. He is the bridge. The signs are clear. The light shows him." But the counselor shook his head. "Stories are not proof. If he is what you claim, let him show us." The Queen looked at Ryan with calm eyes. "Then he shall," she said. Ryan's heart raced. "Show you?" he asked quietly. "Yes," the Queen replied. "Not through strength or battle, but through understanding. My people value wisdom and patience. You will face a trial, not of force, but of trust." Ryan swallowed hard. He was no fighter, but even a test of wisdom felt heavy. The council prepared the trial at once. They brought him to a chamber shaped like a circle, with walls covered in shifting symbols. In the center stood a table with 3 glowing objects, a crystal, a bowl of water, and a small seed. The counselor explained, "This is a puzzle of choice. Each object represents a path. You must place them in the order that reflects harmony. If you choose wrongly, the chamber will close, and you will be judged unfit." Ryan stared at the objects. They seemed simple, yet he felt the weight of the council's eyes on him. He thought of his colony, where choices were often about survival: food, water, soil. He remembered how elders told him that balance kept the colony alive. Without balance, nothing grew. He picked up the seed first. In his mind, life began with a seed. Without it, there would be no growth. He placed it gently on the table. Next, he looked at the bowl of water. Water gave the seed life. Without it, the seed would remain dry and useless. He placed the bowl beside the seed. Finally, he lifted the crystal. It shone with quiet light, reflecting on his face. He thought of how the colony used energy to warm homes and power machines, how light gave direction in darkness. He placed the crystal last, above the water and the seed. When the objects touched in that order, the chamber filled with a soft glow. The symbols on the walls shifted into patterns of harmony, flowing like rivers of light. The counselors leaned forward, surprised. The Queen smiled gently. "He has chosen well. Life begins with the seed, is nurtured by water, and guided by light. He has seen the order of balance." Ryan let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. Relief filled him, though his hands still trembled. The counselor who had doubted him studied Ryan for a long moment. His expression softened slightly, though not fully convinced. "He has passed the trial," he admitted. "But one puzzle does not prove destiny." "Destiny is not proven in a single act," the Queen replied firmly. "It is shown in time. Let this be the first step." The council murmured again, but their voices carried less doubt. They could not deny that Ryan had solved the trial with calm and care. After the trial, the Queen led Ryan back to the balcony overlooking the city within the ship. She placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. "You see now," she said, "it is not power that makes you worthy. It is the way you think, the way you choose." Ryan stared at the city below, still unsure. "But what if I had failed?" "Then you would have learned," she answered softly. "Failure does not erase worth. It is in trying that we see who we are." Her words sank deep into Ryan's heart. For the first time, he felt a spark of confidence. Perhaps he was not as weak as he believed. That night, the city whispered of the human who passed the Queen's trial. Some spoke with doubt, others with growing respect. And though Ryan did not yet know it, This small test had planted the first seed of trust between him and the Queen's people. Far away, beyond the safety of the ship, the rifts in space continued to grow, unseen and dangerous. Soon, Ryan would face trials far greater than puzzles of balance. But for now, he had taken his first step toward becoming the bridge. The days passed slowly on the Queen's ship, and Ryan began to see more of her world. The city inside the vessel was alive with light and movement. Tall towers curved like living branches, bridges shimmered with flowing energy, and the people moved with grace. Yet, behind their calm faces, Ryan could sense unease. He noticed the way some glanced at him, whispering in voices too soft for him to hear. The Queen did not hide the truth from him. One evening, she led him to the great hall where the galaxy's map glowed in the air. Stars stretched endlessly across the chamber, each one bright and alive. But among them, several places pulsed with deep red light. These are the wounds of the galaxy, she explained. Rifts in space. They grow larger with each passing cycle. Whole systems have been lost. Ryan stared at the red marks. They looked like scars burning across the stars. What causes them? He asked. We do not know, the Queen admitted. Our science is vast, but these rifts do not follow the laws we understand. They open without warning, and when they do, they swallow planets, suns, and life itself. Her words sent a chill through Ryan. He could picture his small colony, New Dawn, swallowed by darkness without hope of escape. He clenched his fists. Can they be stopped? The Queen looked at him with calm sadness. We have tried. Our fleets carry devices built to seal the rifts, but they fail. We need something more than knowledge. We need a different way of seeing. That is why I searched for you. Ryan's eyes widened. Me? But I am no scientist. I cannot build machines. The Queen placed a hand on his shoulder. Machines alone cannot save us. My people solve problems with great logic and power, but sometimes logic blinds us. Your kind is different. Humans see patterns where none should exist. You imagine answers before they are clear. That is what we need. Her faith in him felt heavy, yet Ryan could not ignore the truth in her words. He remembered how, back on New Dawn, people often laughed at his strange ideas when fixing broken machines. He would try unusual methods, combining parts in ways no manual suggested. Somehow, his solutions often worked. Perhaps that was what she meant. The Queen summoned the council again. They stood around the galaxy's map, their faces serious. One counselor spoke sharply, the rifts grow faster. We cannot wait for myths. If the human fails, whole worlds will vanish. Ryan felt their doubt pressing down on him, but he forced himself to stand tall. I do not know how yet, he admitted, but I will try. I cannot promise success, but I will not turn away. The Queen nodded, her eyes full of quiet strength. Then you shall see the rift with your own eyes. Only then can you understand. Within days, her ship traveled to the edge of a system near one of the rifts. Ryan stood on the observation deck, watching as the stars bent unnaturally. The rift appeared in the distance, a swirling wound in the fabric of space. It pulsed like a storm, twisting light into strange shapes. The sight filled him with dread. It was not like anything he had ever imagined. It was both beautiful and terrifying, a reminder that the universe was far larger and stranger than his small world. The Queen stood beside him. This is what threatens us all, she said softly. Her people prepared machines to measure the rift. Strange devices floated near its edge, sending streams of data back to the ship. The counselors watched carefully, their faces tense. But soon the devices failed, their signals lost to the storm. Again, one counselor ordered. More machines were sent, but they too vanished. Ryan studied the rift, his mind racing. He noticed how the light bent, how stars behind it flickered in a pattern that repeated like a slow rhythm. He leaned closer to the glass. "It moves like it breathes," he whispered. The Queen glanced at him. "What do you see?" "It's not just chaos," Ryan said. "There's a pattern. It opens and closes, like lungs drawing air. Maybe your machines fail because they fight against the rhythm instead of moving with it?" The counselors exchanged doubtful looks. "Nonsense," one muttered. "It is a storm of energy, not a living thing." But Ryan did not back down. "On my colony, we worked with the river. When it flooded, we built paths to guide the water instead of blocking it. Maybe this is the same. Instead of sealing it by force, we could guide its flow." The Queen studied him for a long moment, then turned to the council. "Prepare the devices. We will follow his idea." The councillors argued, but her command carried weight. The machines were adjusted to release energy in pulses matching the rift's rhythm. When they activated, the storm shifted. For a brief moment, the rift grew calmer, its edges steady. The ship shook as the energy pulled at it, but the pattern held. "It listens," the Queen whispered. Ryan's heart raced. His idea was working, if only for a moment. The rift pulsed again, stronger this time, and the machines strained before breaking apart. The calm ended, and the storm returned. But for the first time, there had been hope. The council fell silent. Even the harshest among them could not deny what they had seen. The human had found something their science had missed. The Queen turned to Ryan, her eyes shining with quiet pride. "This is only the beginning. You have shown us a path. Together, we will learn to walk it." Ryan gazed at the rift, his fear mixing with determination. He had never wanted such responsibility, yet here he stood at the edge of the unknown, holding answers no one else could see. The galaxy was in crisis, but perhaps, just perhaps, humanity had a place in its salvation. The ship returned to calmer space after the attempt near the rift. Ryan could not stop thinking about what he had seen. The rhythm of the storm played in his mind again and again, like the steady beat of a drum. Though the machines had failed, he knew the brief calm was proof that the rifts could be touched. They were not endless chaos. They had a pattern, and patterns could be understood. The Queen called him to her council chamber. The leaders were already waiting, their faces marked with tension. Some still looked at him with doubt, but others had softened after witnessing the result of his idea. "You gave us hope," the Queen said as he entered. For the first time, the rift responded. It may not have closed, but it listened. That is more than our science ever achieved. Ryan lowered his eyes. "It was only for a moment. I do not know if I can do more." "You can," she replied firmly. "Because you see what we cannot. That is your gift." The council debated for hours, but at last they agreed to try again. This time, Ryan would guide the operation from the start. He would work alongside the alien engineers, combining their knowledge with his simple but unusual way of thinking. Days passed as they prepared. Ryan spent his time walking through the engineering halls, studying machines that pulsed with energy far beyond anything humans had built. The engineers explained their functions, speaking in careful words so he could understand. In return, Ryan offered small suggestions, asking questions that seemed too simple but often opened new paths. "Why must the energy flow in a straight line?" he asked one day. "On New Dawn, we built irrigation channels that curved to follow the land. Perhaps the current should flow in arcs, not lines." The engineers tested his thought, and to their surprise, the machines became more stable. Slowly, respect began to grow. They no longer saw him as only the Queen's chosen human but as a thinker who offered something new. At last, the ship returned to the edge of the rift. The storm pulsed ahead, brighter and stronger than before. The Queen stood beside Ryan on the command deck. Her calm voice carried across the hall. "This is the moment. Guide us. Ryan's heart pounded, but he forced himself to breathe steadily. He studied the swirling edges of the rift. Again he saw the rhythm, the rise and fall like waves. He lifted his hand and pointed. Now, he said. The engineers activated the devices. Streams of energy pulsed outward, timed with the rhythm he had seen. The ship trembled as the rift responded, its edges pulling inward slightly. Again, Ryan said. The pulses continued, each one steady and calm. The storm began to shift, its wild energy bending into shape. For a brief moment, it almost looked like a great circle of light instead of a wound. The counselors leaned forward in awe. But the rift fought back, releasing a sudden surge. The ship shook violently, alarms flashing. Some cried out in fear, but Ryan's voice cut through the noise. Hold the rhythm. Do not fight it. Flow with it. The Queen repeated his command with authority, and the crew obeyed. They adjusted the pulses to move with the storm's new pattern. Slowly, the surge weakened, and the rift steadied again. Hours passed like this. Ryan guided them with patience, calling for changes when the rhythm shifted, never letting fear break his focus. At last, the rift began to shrink. Its edges pulled tighter and tighter until, with a final flash of light, it sealed shut. Silence filled the deck. The stars beyond shone calmly once more. The Queen turned to Ryan, her eyes bright. You did it? Ryan stood frozen, hardly believing what he had seen. We did it, he corrected softly. Together. The counselors, who had doubted him from the start, now bowed their heads in respect. One spoke with quiet sincerity. The Queen was right. Humanity carries something we have long forgotten. Without him, we would have failed again. News spread quickly through the ship. The human had helped close a rift that threatened the galaxy. The city within the vessel lit up in celebration, towers glowing brighter than ever. For the first time, Ryan felt the warmth of acceptance among the alien people. Later, as the celebrations quieted, the Queen found him alone on the balcony. He gazed at the stars, still struggling to understand how his life had changed so suddenly. You showed courage today, she said. Not the courage of battle, but the courage to trust your own sight. That is true heroism. Ryan shook his head. I only saw patterns. I only followed what felt right. And that, she said gently, is what saved us. For the first time since leaving New Dawn, Ryan smiled without fear. He thought of his colony, of the rivers and gardens, of the small lessons life there had taught him. Those lessons, simple as they were, had guided him to see what even the greatest alien minds had missed. The Queen placed her hand on his shoulder. The galaxy will know of this day. They will know of the human who stood at the edge of the storm and gave us hope. Ryan looked at her, his voice quiet but steady. If humanity can bring hope, then we belong among the stars. She nodded. Yes. And you, Ryan, are the proof. Above them, the stars burned brighter than ever. The galaxy was still wounded, with many rifts yet to be closed. But for the first time, there was a path forward. And at the center of that path stood a human from a quiet colony, who had shown that even the smallest voice could guide the greatest of journeys. The galaxy celebrated the closing of the first rift, yet everyone knew the work was not over. Many rifts still remained, scattered across space like scars that threatened to spread again. The great ship carried hope now, but it also carried a heavy responsibility. At the center of this new mission stood Ryan, the human who had shown that the impossible could be touched. Ryan felt both pride and uncertainty as he walked through the glowing streets of the city within the ship. Aliens greeted him with warm smiles and quiet nods, gestures of respect that he had never received before. Children of strange shapes and colors ran beside him, curious and eager to touch the hand of the human they had heard about. Ryan bent down to speak to them, his words simple and gentle, and their laughter filled the air. The queen watched from above, standing on a balcony with her counselors. She saw how naturally Ryan moved among her people. He did not carry himself as a leader or a figure of power. He carried himself as someone willing to listen and learn. That was why the bond between their worlds was forming so strongly. Later, the queen invited him again to her private chamber. The walls glowed softly, filled with the quiet hum of life from the great vessel. She spoke in a calm voice, yet there was emotion beneath her words. Our people have lived for centuries believing we were alone in wisdom, she said. We thought our science was complete, our sight was clear. But we were wrong. You showed us that another path exists, one built not on greater machines but on simple vision. You have changed us. Ryan shifted uneasily. I am only one person. I cannot guide every storm. I am afraid I will fail. The queen stepped closer, her voice steady. You will not be alone. You are the bridge between us and your kind. The galaxy does not need one hero, it needs many voices. Through you, we will find them. Her words filled him with both weight and strength. He thought of New Dawn, his home colony far away. Perhaps one day, humans from there would walk beside these towering beings as equals. Perhaps the bond between their worlds would grow until no storm could break it. The following days were filled with preparation. The ship set a course toward the next rift, carrying renewed courage. But this time, they did not face it with fear. They faced it with a plan shaped by both alien science and human insight. Teams worked side by side. Engineers listened to Ryan's questions, while he listened to their vast knowledge. The queen watched over all of it, her calm presence keeping the unity strong. When they reached the second rift, it was larger than the first, its light stretching across the stars like a wound of fire. Some among the council whispered in worry, but Ryan felt no fear. He stood on the command deck, the queen at his side, and studied the storm. This one breathes faster, he said after a long silence. Its rhythm is not like the first. We must move quicker, like a heartbeat. The queen repeated his words to the crew, and the devices were adjusted. Once again, the storm responded. The battle with chaos was not easy, but together they pressed forward. And once again, light bent into calm. The rift shrank, then sealed. The ship erupted with cheers. 2 rifts had fallen, and the people now believed with certainty that all could be healed. The bond between human and alien grew stronger, not through speeches or treaties, but through shared struggle and trust. That evening, the queen hosted a gathering in the heart of the ship. The city's towers glowed brighter than ever, casting gentle colors across the wide halls. Music filled the air, and voices of every shape and tone joined together in joy. The queen rose to speak before them all. Today we see the truth. No single world holds all wisdom. We are strongest when we share. Our human friend has shown us this, and for that, we honor him. From this day, humanity is not a stranger to us. Humanity is family. The hall echoed with applause, voices thundering in unity. Ryan stood among them, humbled and overwhelmed. For the first time, he truly felt that his people belonged to something greater. Later, when the celebration quieted, Ryan walked alone to the balcony where stars stretched endlessly before him. The queen joined him once more, her steps soft. You look to the stars with wonder, she said. Ryan nodded. I see a future where our children will travel together. Where humans and your people will build gardens among the stars, not walls. The queen's gaze softened. That future has already begun. You are its first stone. Silence rested between them, not heavy but peaceful. Above, the stars shone with calm light, no longer hidden by storms. The galaxy was wide, the journey long, but the path was clear. Ryan turned to her with a small smile. Then let us keep walking it. Together. She placed her hand gently over his, a simple gesture that carried the weight of 2 worlds. Together, she repeated. And so, under the endless stars, the bond between human and alien was sealed not with power or fear, but with trust and hope. The story of a single human had become the story of many, a story that would echo through the galaxy as proof that even in the vast silence of space, humanity had a place and a voice worth hearing.